Hi, today is April 24th, 2024, and here are my poems for the day. The first one is poem number 635 for the year, Fat Cat. Don't get me wrong, I could definitely stand to lose a few pounds myself. I'll go further and say that I need to prioritize losing weight, else I'm going to develop health problems. But the cat I saw on Sunday hanging out in front of the bodega on the corner of Malcom X Boulevard and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad Way is way fatter than I am. I don't mean to fat shame, but seriously, this cat has to chill with the food. As do I acknowledge that, but seriously, that is a fat-ass cat. Poem number 636. At the Waterbed store. At the waterbed store she lay down and closed her eyes and let the waves wash under her, and she wondered whether she could get used to the lapping sounds and whether the sloshing around would make her have to pee multiple times throughout the night. But the deal breaker was she couldn't imagine fucking on a waterbed, and she wondered how people did it, and she tried to think if she knew anyone who had ever owned one, and then she thought maybe that's why waterbeds aren't really a thing anymore, because maybe they would spring a leak when people fucked on them, and she wished she had thought of this before driving all the way out to the waterbed store. Poem number 637, Waterbed. What she really wanted, what would really be amazing, what she couldn't stop thinking about was a bed made entirely of water. No frame, no bedpost, no mattress made of polyvinyl chloride, just water and water and water that she could float on top of or swim in or somehow sink into without drowning in her sleep. Basically, she wanted a small swimming pool that she could call a waterbed, but was actually a pool that she could sleep in somehow. She knew this wasn't possible, but it made her happy to imagine it and dream about it all the same. Poem number 638, Prior Charles Halls. According to Wikipedia, the modern waterbed was invented by a man named Charles Hall. According to Wikipedia, my name, before I changed it, was John Charles Hall. The waterbed inventor, Charles Prior Hall, was a prior Charles Hall to me. But Charles Martin Hall, who invented an inexpensive method for producing aluminum, was a Charles Hall prior to Charles Prior Hall. And there were many, many prior Charles Halls prior to Charles Martin Hall. But as many prior Charles Halls as there may have been, there may very well be even more future Charles Halls than prior Charles Halls. And last poem of the day, poem number 639, The Charles Hall. If you were to collect all the prior Charles Halls who ever existed and put them all in an auditorium, you could call it the Charles Hall. But it would take a long time to dig up all of those bodies, and probably no one would want to visit the Charles Hall. And people wouldn't even be like, I wouldn't want to visit the Charles Hall, but I'm happy to know it exists. I would venture to guess if you were to stuff the corpses of all the prior Charles Halls into an auditorium and then announce the existence of the Charles Hall, most people wouldn't be happy to know it exists. I think most people would be bummed out. All right, that's it. Thank you. I appreciate you. You may not appreciate me for some of the visions that I invoke sometimes, but nevertheless, I appreciate you.